Welcome to a brief introduction to Photopea, a free online digital software app that your students can make creative use of during the experimental, developmental and outcome phases of portfolio project. All students can make use of Photopea. This video uses a sense of place as a theme. Here you're seeing how graphic students could create a cityscape, reimagine the place where they live. The art students could create a more painterly version, and photography students could focus on single structures. To begin, we're going to open up a new project, ignore all of the templates and focus on the left-hand side. Select an A4 document and hit Create. Now, it's worth mentioning here that Photopea is a free online app. At times it does not work as expected. For example, a lot of its issues can be resolved by working with a small file sizes such as 72 dpi. This is fine so long as your students don't want to print anything out bigger than A5. So I've opened up my photograph here, gone to image size, reduce the DPI to 72, hit OK. And now I'm pressing the Command and plus button to zoom back in again. I've opted for the polygonal lasso tool as this building is all straight lines. So I'm drawing around my structure and making sure I meet myself back at the start. This creates a selection. Once I've done that, I've tried cutting and pasting into my new canvas. Cutting and pasting often doesn't work, so my workaround is using the Move tool and dragging and dropping. The other tool that I had a few issues with is the image and flip horizontal or flip vertical. It worked once beautifully and then never worked again. So my workaround, as you can see here, it's flipping the whole canvas, and I only want it to flip one layer, and I only had one layer selected. So I'm creating a new canvas, an A5 one at 72 dpi. I'm dragging and dropping my duplicated layer into this new canvas, and I'm going up to Image, Transform and Flip Horizontal, and I'm going to drag and drop it back into my original canvas. I'm going to delete my original copy and then start creating this new form by adjusting the two layers. I'm going to select both these layers and drag and drop them into my second canvas, delete the original layer and flip that vertically and drag and drop it back into my original canvas. Now I'm going to explore colour. So I'm going to press Command or Control click on the layer's thumbnail, add a new layer and use the colour picker to create my colour scheme, and I'm going to use either the paint bucket tool or the brush tool to fill this layer with colour. I'm going to go up to select and deselect, and then I'm going to experiment with the blending modes. The top 5 darken, the second 5 lighten, and the ones after that are a mix. So have your students experiment with these depending on the style, the look that they want of their finished image. Now I'm beginning to experiment with how big I want this new structure, how big I want it in the canvas, and then playing around with my background colour. I think this effect will work very nicely for your photography students. So now over to the art students. So this painterly effect, I've created that using Photopea's filter gallery. So I'm setting myself up in exactly the same way as I did with the photography example, but this time it's a landscape document. I'm using the same selection tool, the lasso, and I'm remembering to drag and drop my image into my new canvas. This is another small issue that I came across with Photopea. The drag and drop started to not work. So my workaround here is to resize the photograph in this window by pressing Command or Control 0, then dragging and dropping, and everything worked fine. Up at the top, click the transform button and you can resize your images. We're going up to image, adjustments and black and white. I encourage your students to experiment with these sliders to create good contrast in your images. and start building your new cityscape by dragging and dropping new photographs into this canvas. Here I'm going to pause to show you the pen tool. The pen tool works as both a shape tool and a path. So use the menu bar at the top to move it from shape to path. Click once to anchor yourself in and follow the outline of your building. To pull a curve, click with the mouse and don't let go. Hold the Alt key down and click the middle Bezier point, and then you can carry on. So here you can see I've made a small mistake, so I'll press Command or Control Z to undo. I've clicked with the mouse, I've not let go, press the Alt key down, click the middle Bezier point, and I can carry on. Just like with the lasso tool, I have to join myself back up at the start. But there's one more step. I have to make it into a selection up at the top, press OK, and then drag and drop it into my new canvas. So to change it from a photograph into a more painterly style, we're going to look at the filter gallery. So I like the photocopy one, but the photocopy one works with the colours that are in your toolbar. So I want black and white, so I've come back out and picked the black and white, gone back down to the photocopy effect and tweak the details and the darkness sliders. Encourage your students to experiment with the gallery and experiment with the sliders until they create the effect that they want. When they're happy, OK that. Now we're going to do the same thing, add a new layer, Command or Control click on the photograph's thumbnail to select the photograph, and using the paintbrush or the bucket tool, painting over the top of the photograph. So small mistake again, I'm painting on the photograph here, don't want to do that. So go back, Command or Control Z to go back, click the right layer, fill it with my colour. And again, I'm going to experiment with screen blending mode or the multiply or the linear burn. Those two give like a screen printing effect, which art students might like. I'm opting for the screen blending mode. And these two layers need to stay together. So to select both layers, just hold Shift down and click on each layer in the layer stack. We'd move forward in time to see a finished skyline, because all of this was created using those same techniques, and now I want to demonstrate using the brush tool. So just like in most digital collage apps, you can download free brushes. So navigate to a site like Brush Easy, click on the brush that you'd like to download it, and it's ever so easy to open it up in Photopea. Just move back into Photopea, go File and Open, find where it's downloaded, and double click on the ABR file. And this opens up those brushes and pops them into the brushes palette. So here you can see I've now got a wide range of clouds. So just like any other colour or any other editing, I'm adding a new layer on right at the bottom of the stack. I've used the eyedropper tool to select the right colour, because I'm still working with pink and I don't want that in the background, I want greens. So I pressed I on the keyboard, clicked on the existing cloud, gone back to the brush tool and painted in my final cloud. The last finishing touch is to focus on creating a bit more contrast. So my commuter here was created in the same way as the buildings, using the pen tool to select him, cut him out and drag and drop him. So now I'm going to press Command or Control click and click on his layers thumbnail, add a new layer on, and I'm going to use Photopea's default brushes here to paint in a more contrasty approach. I deselect that layer and I've turned off the eye of the photograph because I think this creates a more pleasing finished image. I'm now going to focus on the foreground, and again I'm going back to my green colour scheme and I'm going to keep using Photopea's default brushes. I'm going to use them in various weights, various sizes, experiment with the opacity of them to build up my foreground to make sure that the commuters and the taxi don't look like they're floating in space. I hope this brief introduction has highlighted the creative potential of this free online app and how it can be used to address multiple AOs, from experimentation, development of an idea to an outcome.